Hey everybody! Time for music again. How are you? I hope your Shavuot was good. Alright, I had a good one. Had fun. Alright, so today we have a lot to do. As usual, we are going to learn about a new composer today. And who did we just finish? Last time we got together, we finished up Beethoven. Yes, we did. So today we're going to learn about Tchaikovsky. I don't know if you've heard of him, but I think you probably have. He's very famous. He was a Russian composer. So where was Beethoven from? Do you remember? Which country? Germany, right? And then he moved to Austria, right? And then he lived for most of his life in Austria. So that's exciting to learn about a brand new composer. I'm going to show you a picture of Tchaikovsky when he was like a teenager. Here he is. I'm going to bring the picture close to the camera. There he is. He's a cutie. Okay, so that's when he was a student. And we're going to learn all about Tchaikovsky and his music. Okay, so Peter Ilyich Tchaikovsky was born in Kamsko-Vodkinsk, which is in Russia, on the 7th of May, 1840. And he, as we said, was a Russian composer who lived in the Romantic period. Okay, so Beethoven was the start of the Romantic period, but when we learned about Mozart, as you remember, Mozart was in the Classical period, which came before the Romantic period. We have 4 main periods of music. Okay, so Tchaikovsky was known as a Romantic composer. He is one of the most popular of all Russian composers. Actually, he's one of the most popular of any composer, whether they're from Russia or not. Okay, he wrote melodies which were usually very dramatic and emotional, like if he was feeling sad or if he was feeling very happy, kind of like Beethoven, right? He learned a lot from studying the music of Western Europe, but his music also sounds very Russian. Russia is not part of Europe. His compositions, the pieces that he wrote, his musical works, include 11 operas. We're going to listen to a very beautiful aria from one of his 11 operas. 3 ballets. We're going to listen to all of his ballets, famous parts of his 3 ballets that I'm pretty sure you've heard of all of those ballets you've heard of. They're famous. Orchestral music for the symphony orchestra. Chamber music. Remember, we listened to some of Beethoven's chamber music, which is for 3 or 4 instruments or 5, right? And a small group of instruments, right? And over 100 songs. We're also going to listen to some of his songs, his piano songs. His famous ballets are Swan Lake, Sleeping Beauty, and The Nutcracker. Have you heard of those? Of course you have. Especially Sleeping Beauty, Walt Disney made a cartoon animated version of Sleeping Beauty, and he used some of Tchaikovsky's ballet music from the Sleeping Beauty ballet in the movie of Sleeping Beauty. And these ballets have some of the most famous tunes in all of Romantic music. Okay, so I'm going to show you a picture of Tchaikovsky's family. He had a big family. There were 5 kids, and here are Tchaikovsky and his parents. You can see everybody and all of the kids. Okay, there you go. There's Tchaikovsky right there next to the dad standing. There you go. Big family. Okay, so his dad was from the Ukraine. So his dad was not Russian. And his dad worked as a mining engineer in the mines. His mother's grandfather, so that would be Peter Tchaikovsky's great-grandfather, was born in France and he moved to Russia. So Mrs. Tchaikovsky, Peter's mom, was a very nervous woman. She worried a lot and she was nervous. And Tchaikovsky kind of became a nervous person, maybe from his mom being nervous all the time. And when he was 5, he started piano lessons. Who else started piano lessons when they were 5? Do you remember? Beethoven, right? And Mozart was even younger, right? Mozart was 2, right? Okay, So soon Peter was better than his teacher. The family had an orchestrion, which is a kind of musical box, a big box that played some tunes from classical music by Mozart, Bellini, Donizetti, and Rossini. So Mozart, was Austrian, right? And Bellini, Donizetti, and Rossini were famous Italian composers. Rossini wrote The Barber of Seville and a lot of famous operas. In 1848, Peter's family moved to St. Petersburg, which was a huge, beautiful Russian city. Tchaikovsky was unhappy and unsettled, and he was often separated from his family, who moved several times. He spent 9 years at the School of Jurisprudence. I'm going to show you what that building looks like. The School of Jurisprudence is where people go to study law. So he was young when he started studying law. And I'll show you the building. It's a very huge building where he studied. This is what it looks like. It's still standing. Can you see it? It's huge. There you go. Okay, now let's find out what happens. So after he was done in school, he had to get a job. So for 4 years, he worked as a clerk in the Ministry of Justice. Then the composer and pianist, who was very famous, Anton Rubinstein, who was a Jewish guy, helped Peter become a music student at the brand new conservatory. A conservatory is where you go to study music, and only music. That's it. That's all you learn. All right. So that conservatory was in St. Petersburg. He learned to play the flute and the organ, as well as the piano, and he also learned how to write music. In 1866, he moved to Moscow, which is another huge, famous Russian city, where Nikolai Rubinstein, who's the brother of Anton, he said, you know what, Peter, you should write music that sounds Russian. And Peter worked very hard and was often very exhausted, but he took Nikolai's advice, and he managed to finish his first symphony, which was performed in 1868. So Tchaikovsky met some famous musicians around this time, including Berlioz, who was a famous French composer who was visiting, and Berlioz was visiting Moscow. That's how they met. He also became friendly with the Russian composer Mily Balakirev, who was very helpful to him, and he persuaded Peter to rewrite one of his works several times and polish it up until it was very good. The result was a piece for orchestra called Romeo and Juliet, which soon became very famous all over the world. Balakirev had 4 friends who were composers. This circle of friends is often called the Five, a nickname, or the Mighty Handful. So silly, these nicknames. They were interested in using Russian folk tunes in their music. Tchaikovsky was never a member of the Five, but he liked their ideas a lot. And he was very different from them. And because he had been trained at the conservatory in music, where they taught Western music, the harmonies that he used in his works, the way he wrote his works with all the chords and harmonies, were often not suitable for Russian folk tunes. He wrote many songs which are romantic in character. One of them, None But the Lonely Heart, is especially well known in English. There are English words to it. By now, Tchaikovsky was writing works which were to make him very famous. He wrote 2 more symphonies and his first piano concerto, one of the most popular of all the piano concertos. Actually, I'm going to play for you the second piano concerto, which is my favorite. So he wrote 3 piano concertos, and number 2 is my favorite. And it is actually the most famous of the 3. And the first piano concerto was first performed in Boston, Massachusetts, here in America. He was also at that time writing operas and chamber music. Chamber music, as you know, is like 3 or 4 or 5 instruments playing in a small group. Okay, so what we're going to do now is listen to part of the first piano concerto. and it's very beautiful. And the person who's performing the piano concerto is Lang Lang, and he is a famous pianist. He performs concerts all over the world, and he's super good. Okay, so we're going to listen to him play right now. So a concerto is where we have usually one solo instrument, which right now you'll hear is the piano. It could be the violin, because Tchaikovsky also wrote a violin concerto. So the solo instrument, you'll hear the piano has its parts by itself, the orchestra has their part, and then they also play together, and that's a concerto, okay? So we're going to listen to this, and I'm going to actually push play and rewind. Let's go. Let's rewind. I want to make sure we're at the beginning. Okay. Everybody's clapping for the conductor, and Lang Lang is sitting down at the piano now. This is a beautiful piano concerto. Like I said, it's my favorite of Tchaikovsky's three. French horns. That's Lang Lang on the piano. Big chords all the way up. Bottom, middle, top. So that's part of the second piano concerto. Okay, so in a minute we're going to listen to Sleeping Beauty, Swan Lake Ballet, which is his first one. All right, here we go. So in 1875, Tchaikovsky began making a long tour of Europe. So a tour, you know, is where you go from country to country and you perform music. He liked Bizet's opera Carmen. Bizet was a French composer, and Carmen is a super famous opera. But Wagner, who was a German composer, wrote operas in something called the Ring Cycle. And Tchaikovsky didn't like Wagner's music. I don't really like Wagner's music either. In 1877, he finished Swan Lake, his first ballet. How many ballets did he write? 3. Good. The audience did not like it at first because the dancers were not very good. A ballet, as you know, is a performance that is a story where everything is danced. So there are ballerinas, ballet dancers, men and women, and they dance the story. So is there any speaking or singing? No. Okay, so in the summer of 1877, Tchaikovsky got married to Antonina Milyukova, but the marriage only lasted a few weeks. Yeah, just a few weeks, then that's it. Now he's single again. And another woman who was named Nadezhda von Meck decided to become Tchaikovsky's patroness. So she was the wife of a rich man, and a patroness means that she decided that she would pay Tchaikovsky a lot of money to write music, and also just to like be pen pals. She did not want to meet him. She said, okay, I'm going to pay you all this money, but on the condition that we're never going to meet. Okay. So like they just wrote letters to each other, and he had plenty of time now to write music because she was paying him a lot of money. He wrote several operas, including Eugene Onegin, and then he also wrote his 4th and 5th symphonies, his violin concerto, which we're going to listen to, the Serenade for Strings, Capriccio Italien, and the 1812 Overture, which we're also going to listen to. All right, so what I want to do is play for you part of the 1812 Overture, which is super famous, and it has a surprise in the finale, in the last part, and I'm going to tell you what that is. It's really cool. You're going to love it. Okay, so 1812 Overture, the finale, and here we go, and you're going to listen to what is the special thing that the finale has. It's amazing. Okay, here we go. All right, I want to make sure that I'm on the finale. And here we go. You can hear the kettle drums in the background. promise. Okay, now, we also want to, before we start our listening game, which we're about to do, I just want to play a little bit of the violin concerto for you, okay? Then we're going to do our listening game. Okay, I'll tell you what, I see that we're running a little low on time, so guess what? We'll do the listening game, and we'll start with the violin concerto next week, okay? All right, so here comes the listening game. So let's go over our intervals. What is an interval? You know, it's the distance, the space between two notes. And we know a few intervals now. You're so smart. I've been able to teach you so many intervals. So we know second, we know fourth, or here comes the bride. Then twinkle twinkle is the fifth, right? And the octave, 8 notes apart, like octopus has 8 legs. C to C, C to C, A to A, or F to F, okay? So, you know the musical alphabet is A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, a very short alphabet, okay? So the octave is 2 G's or 2 C's or 2 D's separated by 8, okay? So now so that's 4 intervals, and today we're going to mix in the 7th, which is far apart, not quite an octave, and sounds kind of crummy, right? Doesn't sound pretty together. The second also doesn't sound so pretty, right? Honk, honk, right? Only 2 notes apart, right? Okay, so let's do, I'll tell you what, before I add the 7th into the mix, okay, we're going to just do the 4 first, the only 4 choices, second, fourth, fifth, or octave, and then we'll mix in the 7th, okay? Then you'll have 5 choices. That's amazing. All right, so close your eyes. Keep them closed, even if you have to put your hand over your eyes. Here's your first one. Keep your eyes closed. I'm going to repeat it. Okay, you may open your eyes. What was that? Second, fourth, fifth, or octave? What do you think? Twinkle, twinkle. Okay, that was the 5th. Good. All right, good listening. Okay, close your eyes again. Keep your eyes closed. I will repeat it. All right, you may open your eyes. What do you say? Second, fourth, 5th, or octave? If you said octave, bingo, you're right. That was a B to B. Okay, here we go. So, 2 B's. All right, or not 2 B's. Okay, here we go. So, next one, close those eyes. Close them, no peeking. I'm going to separate them and play them again. You may open your eyes now. Okay, what do you think? Second, fourth, 5th, or octave? If you said second, you are 100%. Good. All right, and if you didn't, it's okay. We have more choices coming up. Close your eyes again. Keep your eyes closed. All right, you can open your eyes now. What do you think? Ah, did you say 4th? Good. Da, 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 da. Okay, you can also use Here Comes the Bride. All right, good. Close your eyes. I'm going to separate them. You may open your eyes. Second, fourth, 5th, or octave. What do you think? Octave. Good. F sharp to F sharp. 2 black keys. Wow, interesting, but still an octave. Matching notes. Okay, one more, and then we're going to add 7th into the mix. Close your eyes. I'll repeat it one more time. You may open your eyes. What did you say? Second, fourth, 5th, or octave? What do you think? Second, beep, beep. Doesn't sound so pretty at all. All right, now we're ready for seventh, okay? So seventh is almost an octave. Almost. Far apart, but not quite an octave, and it sounds not pretty together. Doesn't blend together well, okay? Like the second, only much farther apart, okay? Now we have 5 choices. Boy, this is getting fancy. Okay, close your eyes. I'm gonna do it again. Keep those peepers closed. Okay, you may open. What do you think? Second, fourth, fifth, seventh, or octave? Twinkle, twinkle. Good, our good friend the fifth. Good. All right, close your eyes again. Keep them closed tightly. I'm going to do it again. Okay, you may open. Second, fourth, fifth, seventh, or octave. Our new one, the seventh. Yeah, you hear it because it sounds so different from any of the other ones, right? Not pretty together, but far apart. Okay, close your eyes again. I'm going to do it again. Keep those peepers closed. Okay, you could open. Our choices: second, fourth, fifth, seventh, or octave. What do you think? The answer is fourth. Good. Or good. All right. Close them again. Keep them closed. You may open them. What do you think? Second, fourth, fifth, seventh, or octave? Did you say octave? Bingo. Good for you. One more. Here we go. Close your eyes. I'm going to do it again. Keep your eyes shut. Okay, you could open up. What do you think? Second, fourth, fifth, seventh, or octave? What did you say? Did you say seventh? Oh, sorry. Right there. This is the seventh that I played. I was looking for the notes. Seventh sounds far apart, but pretty ugly, right? Not nice, right? Good. All right. Great job, guys. You did a wonderful, wonderful job in music today. Next week, we will finish up Tchaikovsky and learn a new song, too. Okay? We'll sing a new song together. Okay. Bye-bye. Have a good week. Till I see you again.